Well, what's going on, social media family? It's your main man, Joe Dupree, one of the BLK, the Black Station, with my good friend, Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices on this 29th day of March, which let me just start this off the way I need to start this off because 25 years ago, I was actually leaving the hospital in full celebration because my daughter was born, Keanu Sade Anderson. And I'd like to say happy birthday to her as we start off this Wellness Wednesday.
Happy birthday, princess.
That's what I'm talking about. So, family, it's and not planned because we just let the shows kind of take themselves. We are going to be talking about co-parenting on
This is
tonight.
one of those good ones. This
And
is going to be one of the good ones.
We're going to have some real conversation. Listen, as I always say about this time, so you will know you can join in on the conversation. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and put it up there. There's the phone numbers. If you want to call us at any time during the broadcast and ask a question or have a comment, you can call us at 917-408-3773, or you can give us a call at 225-250-8770. You can call us anytime with a question or a comment. Tonight, we're going to be talking about co-parenting. So without further ado, let me turn it over to my brother from another mother, Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices. Edward, what's going on, my man?
Man, it's good. It's good. Everything's good, man. This is one of those topics that I believe is long overdue. We've needed to talk about this because it incorporates so many different issues, so many different thoughts and ideas from, emotions. How do we feel? How do we think? How do we perceive things? This is one of those shows that, people should go back and watch over and over. I'm calling it before we even finish. And it's because we're going to talk about things like co-parenting. We're going to talk about things like blended families, adoption, the idea of bringing someone that is not blood into a situation, and then where you create new situations. It's so many different, as we say, situations that can come from this, that this is going to be one of those shows. So one of the first things I want to talk about is that we have to understand everyone thinks the way they think and feel and believe about parenting based on what's been put in their life over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily just from childhood, but from life experiences. Now, here's what I'm talking about. If you talk to someone and you ask them about marriage, their belief system, the things they feel, will directly be impacted by what they've seen. Statistics show individuals who come from two family households are more likely to put in effort to make a marriage last than someone that comes from a single parent household. So now imagine if all you've ever known is your brothers and sisters in your house. So now you go on into a relationship, and that individual has children that are not by you. That's not from your frame of reference. You may know people, you may even have friends, but it's not your direct frame of reference. So let's look at it from, and we're going to step on a lot of toes. So for me, I might as well go for the fellas.
Okay, let's go.
I go for the fellas first. So one of the first things I always tell a brother is if, and I'm going to go back to many years ago.
Okay.
And I was given some knowledge and some insight where I was told the older you get, the harder it will be to find a mate without children. Hey, let me show you what I mean.
If you I can agree and somewhat disagree with that. Especially now, back when you and I were probably in our 20s and early 30s, I'm sure that's the way, because at that time, my elders were still on this side of heaven. That's how they did talk to us, because of course they only knew from their experiences, and their experiences was, once you say I do, that's it. You in it. You in it until death do us part. But somewhere in our generation, or maybe just a little bit with the generation before, maybe 10 years before us, we started having a transition of ideology change. And folks says it's easy for me not to be in it for the long haul. For whatever reason, I have noticed that when it comes down to marriages and relationships, it's easy for folks to say, I'm done. I'm finished.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is if we're dating and we're 15, 16, 17, 18.
Okay.
Girls didn't have babies during that time.
Not back
because
in
the stigma was still out there because it wasn't the norm. If when we were coming up, we're talking late 70s, early 80s.
Early 80s, right. Our high school days.
If you were in high school and a girl was pregnant in high school, it was the talk of the school.
Yeah, it was.
It was, oh my God, her life is over. It's ruined. What was she doing? That now it's more normalized.
Correct.
Now, but what I'm talking about is I'm talking about back then. So now we're looking at you're 24 and you're 25 and you're dating a guy, and it's harder to find young men during that age group that doesn't have a baby here. Then I'm not saying it's not impossible. So don't like we said, don't come for me later on after you watch this part. I'm not saying that it's not possible. But the older we get in the life cycle, the more probability that we will have started a family. Now, I didn't say necessarily be married.
Right.
Started a family. So now you have these guys. Let's speed up to where we're in the 90s.
Okay.
And we have younger, parents than we did in the 70s and the 80s.
Correct.
Now, we haven't even touched the 2000s yet.
Okay.
But what we have a tendency as men to say and think, well, that ain't mine. That ain't mine. So my responsibility to that child is none. As a mental health professional, as a clinician for many years, that is crap.
Come on now. Speak on it.
That's just absolutely crap. And let me tell you why. You will sit, and as a man and or woman now, I know I said I'm talking about, but we have single fathers as well.
Correct.
And you find yourself, I really love this person. I think I want to create a life with them.
Okay.
But that right there, that ain't mine.
Okay.
How can you love a woman or a man and not love that part of them? Because that's a part of them.
Correct.
That's like me saying, Joe, I love your left hand, but I don't like your right hand.
Right. And back in the days when we were being raised, it was always said, if you ever get engaged in any type of relationship with a woman and she has a child, that is a package deal.
Correct. It is.
Now, the crazy thing is, it was not taught the other way around. It wasn't taught that if a woman gets with you and you have children, she has to accept that package deal. But it was always pushed and propagated that the woman was the driving engine of the relationship, from the part of who needed to be reverenced and who needed to be cared for.
Okay. This is where it gets very clinical. Okay. This is what I want you to understand, that separation in genetics, what it brings about. Okay? Everything is fine until something comes up that is an issue that needs to be handled. Now, let me tell you why it becomes an issue. Because now the concept and the ideology of authority comes into play.
Woo!
Okay? Now, so as long as we going to Chuck E. Cheese, and as long as we going, to the park and everything, that's wonderful. But now it comes down to where maybe something needs to be said in regards to discipline, something needs to be done in regards to responsibility, and some shoes may need to be bought. I mean, whatever. Now we are looking at the area of authority. Where does the what's the word? I want to use the correct word here. Where does the right?
Okay.
Where does the right to interject your thought? Where does it come in? Do you have none because you're not the biological? However, you all are living together. You're sharing bills, but are you responsible to buy clothes?
So wait a minute. So in other words, and let's just call it like it is. And I want people to join in on the conversation. So you see the phone number right there. Let us know your experiences. Let us know how you feel. 225-250-8770. Let me say it again. 225-250-8770. So watch this. So let's go with what we know. We're men. So as the man, you're in a relationship with a woman. Y'all are both living in the same space. This woman has, let's call it a man child. We're going to use a man child as the first example.
Okay.
She has a man child from another man. So at this moment, she has accepted you to be the one to kind of guide this young man, because his biological may not be guiding him. Or
and even if he is, you're in the same household.
Right. You're in the same household. So since you're the man of that house, it is your rules. So your rules is whatever, but that young man says, but my daddy let me do differently when I'm at his house.
Or, which is even a harder hitter, she says, wait a minute, let me and you talk about this. I'll talk to him.
Right, because
you say, well, wait a minute, I don't need you to talk to him for me. I can talk to him for myself.
Right, because you're not little Johnny's daddy.
Correct. So now everything is utopia. Everything is Camelot. Everything is wonderful. But do you have the authority to address someone that is not your biological child? So now, not only do you deal with it within the household,
come on,
where she may say, well, hold on, let me talk to you on side. Anything regarding him or her, I got that.
Right.
And you're like, well, wait a minute. Wait.
I can't let you be the disciplinarian.
Right.
That's my job. Or watch this. What happened because she's no longer in the relationship with the baby daddy? Okay, wait a minute. I don't like that term. She's no longer in the relationship with the child's father.
Correct.
She's now, what happened that she says, I think you and the child's father should have a conversation. Within the conversation with you and the child's father, you and the child's father have an agreement that says, hey, if little Johnny get out of hand while he's in your care, you have the right to handle him as you see fit, but you need to inform me what you're doing.
Okay. Well, now you're about 5 minutes ahead of me.
Okay, so, come on, let's go.
So now you're looking at her and you're saying, well, wait a minute. I thought we were on the same page here. I thought me and you were in this together. Yeah, but I'll deal with him if he does something wrong. Well, why can't I? Now, that is that moment that you hear in the movies. Dun 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 dun. Why can't I? So, are you trying to say I'm not an authority in this house?
Wow.
Are you saying that you and I are in a relationship, but I'm not in a relationship with him? Because I'm not afraid of the smoke from him. You understand? He said, "You ain't my daddy."
Right.
I ain't got time for that, boy. I'm talking to you. So now,
so
if you and her are not on the same page,
Houston, we have a problem.
We have a problem. You know, and these are some of the things that I tell parents need to be discussed before you start going into these, because now you have a household that has 3 different entities going on. You have the child, the mother, and the man.
Right.
Or so instead of the parents and the child, you have these 3 entities. Now, and before I move on into the relationship with the outside parent being the mother or father, I want to deal with why this ideology becomes so profound and so defined.
Come on.
Because it gets embedded in love or lack of love. So in other words, if you say, listen, you act up in school, you grounded.
Right.
And mom is like, well, hold on a minute. Let's me and you talk. What are we talking about? He grounded. He got in trouble at school. That's that. Well, let's talk about it. Okay. Well, you don't think that maybe we should give him another chance?
Yeah, you're being a little harsh on little Johnny. You're a
little harsh.
You're being a and then hit you with this one. Now, if little Johnny was yours,
correct. Exactly. What I'm beginning to believe now is, since you're addressing of a particular issue, it could be anything from clothing to food to whatever. You must not love him as much as I do.
Wow.
Okay? Because there is a difference. See, we don't think about these things when we're going through this honeymoon phase and we're loving each other and there's going to come a time where this not being a biological product of us becomes an issue for someone.
Well, hold on. Pause it.
Okay.
Because I've got to put the open invitation out there. I would love for any lady who is listening to this podcast right now, I would love for you to call in, because I need to hear a woman's opinion on this. When it comes to your child and you're living in a house with a man that is not the biological father of that child or the children, it could be more than one. Who then is the person who sets the authority in the house of how the house is ran when it comes down to the children, to the respect, to the discipline, to the to punishment when things are wrong? Because okay, let's say that you're in a house with a lady and one of the kids breaks the TV in the living room. Then who is the person who issues out the punishment for that happening when the child biologically is not yours? And I mean, that's male or female, because there are some ladies I know.
I'm trying to add some people onto this myself here. Let's see.
You know, there are some people I know that where the ladies will say the following: she does not talk to our child. Now you're in a relationship with a woman. Your child, the child that you have from the other woman, comes over to visit or to spend time, or even may even be a situation where there's a week at this house, a week at that house. But the biological mother makes it crystal clear because of whatever situation or circumstance. And a lot of times, that's why I really want some folks to call in. A lot of times I know this comes from not the child itself, but it comes from the bad relationship between you and the other parent. So now you literally, for whatever reason, and we can put them out there because look, we are very transparent in this show. It could be for cheating, lying, maybe the person you with while you were in a relationship with the person that you had the child with, you were in a relationship with them. So you know, there could be a lot of reasons why you're sitting there going, I do not want this person dealing with my child. Because watch this. It's something you brought up about the love. If you have animosity against me for, let's say, the reason of let's call it what it is. I'm the one that may have taken your significant other away, or I may be the one who was the demise to your marriage. Then if you see my son or daughter, that may be a way for you to be retaliated
Yeah.
retaliation toward me
And
because you really
listen,
can't get to me.
we definitely going over an hour today. I
Yeah,
can
we
definitely see
definitely.
this.
So look,
So,
family, if you feel like joining in on the conversation, be it a male, listen, if you are a man and you've been in this situation, you don't have to say your name. We don't do all that. Just call us 225-250-8770. I want to know how you feel. How do you feel? How do you handle your situation where you are a parent in a relationship or a marriage and you're dealing with raising your child, which your child is now, people use the word stepmom, stepdad, bonus mom, bonus dad. But how do you work that? And listen, it's all about the best, healthiest situation, best practices that will bring forth a child that becomes a healthy adult. They had a TV show on ABC. I don't forgot what it was called, a Parent Challenge or
yeah, I
what.
saw that. I briefly saw that. It didn't stay on long.
Right. But it was deep.
Long.
It was deep because you saw the different styles, because people have different style of parenting.
So now imagine when that difference in style gets equated to how much love you have for an individual.
Mm.
So since I don't discipline the way you do, I don't rear the way you do, I don't believe the things that you believe, then you can't possibly love him the way I do.
Right.
It's just not possible. So now we're looking at the blended family and we're trying to make it work. And you're trying to be that individual that doesn't see bloodline. You see your nucleus, your family nucleus. So now you start to see where it becomes an issue. Now, you started, Brother Dupree, earlier to go a little ahead to where I'm going right now. So now, even as the people within that household, okay, you're in that household and you see it being an issue. What happens when you decide, look, we're in here together, we're going to rear this child the way we believe it's best. And all of a sudden, the child goes with their biological for the weekend, be it mother or father. And it's like, hey, how's things going? Oh, everything's going good. How's things been in the house? Well, that's good. I got in a little trouble the other day and I got a whipping. No, I got spanked. Who spanked you? Well, Joe. Okay. I know he didn't put his hands on you. He ain't your daddy. Or I know that woman didn't yell at you. She not your mama. And now all of a sudden, you get the call.
Houston, we have a problem.
You get the call. Let me tell you something, dude. You and her can do whatever y'all want because I'm done with her. I have no more dealings with her. But don't you ever, as long as you breathe air on this earth, put your hands on my child. Or she like, look, you and him can do whatever y'all want. But that one right there, that's mine. And don't you, if you have any problems with her or him, you call me. If you can't get, well, okay. That's not quite how it's going to happen. And all of a sudden, you see this big commotion. Now, as parents, Joe, I told you this is a good show. As parents, we think the problem is between the parent and the step or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
That's not the problem. You want to know what the problem is?
Talk to me.
The child is sitting there watching all of this,
knowing how to manipulate the situation to their full advantage.
Or if not manipulated, really begin to say, a second ago, I was in trouble for being, a jerk in school.
Right.
But now I can back out of the picture because the commotion in here is no longer about me. It's about them.
So hold it. Let's address that one too. Something that new age parents do, some parents do, that I completely disagree with. Now, this is just me speaking. This is my parenting style, and you do not have to agree with it. One thing I thoroughly appreciate about Lois James and Erlene Anderson is whenever they had adult conversations, I was nowhere in the room. Sometimes on the level of the conversation, I was nowhere in the house. I'm just saying. I'm saying, listen, and many a times I think our issues are we try to put a young mind that has not fully developed or has a complete understanding of the dynamics of how to pay bills, how to manage a household, how to do anything except sleep, eat, and literally bask in the ambience of the hardworking adults in that house. But now they're actually connotating and dictating how things should go in this house. And their family, that's where we have a problem. That's why I really want some folks to call in. Family, this is your opportunity to talk on this, speak on this. Because listen, I have seen in my profession, I have seen individuals who have went to the point, and this is a mental health issue. This is a community issue. This is somewhere where we really need to have some real conversation and start understanding that the dynamics of raising children, when in all actuality, Miss O'Neill just said it exactly. The child will play the adults against one another if the adults are not on the same page. Now, watch this. I asked this question earlier. What happened to real beef ain't the child and the new boo beef. It's really still some unresolved issues from the exes. Because once again, you know, I heard somebody say this today on a radio show that I deal with. Person said, your ex looks the best when he or she finds their next. That's when you see him and be like, oh my God, she fine. Oh my God, he handsome. Because when they were with you, they were all right. But your ex look their best when they with their next. And all of a sudden now, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. And don't get me wrong, I can testify to, and other folks know, there are situations where maybe your ex is with somebody who was actually the provocator, the instigator, the protagonist of the demise of the relationship that you was in with your ex. However, the children have absolutely nothing to do with it.
And I was going to say, as adults, you have to have the cognition to be able to say, listen, we're bonded together regardless, because we have this, even when they're grown. Then they go on to have grandkids, you're going to parties with the grandkids. So we're connected forever based on this blended family that we have.
Right.
But what we have to start addressing within the family structure is the inability for us to realize that we are one family regardless of bloodline. So if you decide that we are going to move forward into a relationship with someone, and that someone has children before they met you, you cannot love that individual and not love the parts of them as well.
Correct.
Now, so we started off saying we were going to talk about it from the male perspective, and then we go. Too often we have these brothers saying, well, you know what? They ain't mine.
Right.
But that's your woman. So this is your woman. That's her kids, but that's not your kids. Then that's not going to work, young brother. Or for this is my woman. These are my kids. I don't want your baby mama to be calling the house. Well, wait a minute. We have the kids. You know, as long as you and I are on the same page and we have an understanding from the beginning, there should be nothing that can come against the collective.
Right. And us co-parenting.
And us co-parenting.
Watch this. Because I got a good friend, Reginald, good evening. Michelle, good evening. My good friend, James Vincent. And James and I are both adopted children. James was one of my best friends back in my hometown that I was raised in, of Henderson, Tennessee. And we had outstanding adopted parents who raised us, who raised us far beyond. I still don't think I'll ever live up to the level of what Mr. and Mrs. Anderson did for me. But like I said, one of the things we really got to get down to is you've got to take the children out of the equation. Here's why. Because I can speak on this. I have been in a relationship where I have children and I am no longer with that person. That person has moved on. I have moved on. However, when my children are around me and my significant other is an extension of me. So the same respect that you garner toward me, you have to garner it toward my extension. And the same love and respect I garner toward my children, my extension has to garner that too. So it is a two-way street, and the door swings both ways. And I think sometimes the biggest problem with us is a lot of folks don't want the door to swing both ways because of hurt that they have experienced at the hands of the other person, not the child. And that puts them in a place where they're not very trustworthy if they were, quote unquote, an individual who was on the bad end of the stick of the relationship. Because watch this. Here's what you always hear. Let's just be real about it. And I'm going to turn this back over to you and give you full screen on this one. But I got to get this out here. When a man cheats or a man does something that he should not do, and women are in conversation about said man, here's what you get most of the time. 8 out of 10 times, here's what you're going to get. Well, girlfriend, you know he a dog. You know how them dogs are. That's how they do. Okay? Yeah. When a woman gets caught cheating, here's how that conversation normally goes. What did he do to make you go do that? So wait a minute. I'm confused. So wait a minute.
Don't be. Our society's full of double standards.
I'm just saying, and I can look, and anyone, there's the phone number. Feel free to call in. Check me. I'm ready to be checked. But here's what really gets me right now. When a man gets caught, it's, you know how they are. They dogs. They not faithful. They not this. They not that. But when a woman gets caught, the first thing that is said 8 out of 10 times is, what did he do to make you do that? Okay, so in other words, you're guilty if you do it as a man, but if you, and watch this, and here's the craziest one I done heard. Well, he just wasn't showing me the affection, the love I needed. So wait a minute, you mean he didn't go try to mess with another woman? You just necessarily don't feel like you were getting what you needed to get from him, and you didn't want to leave him because A, he may have been a good provider, he may have been good, and for whatever reason, you decided to go ahead and cheat yourself, but it's still, he's to blame, because had he have been doing what you, in your mind, feel like he should have been doing, you would have never went out there and did what you did. And that, to me, is the biggest lie ever told, because guess what? Then comes the other one. Well, he's done cheated on me 5 or 6 times. I only cheated on him once. So I'll never, hold up, wait a minute.
I know what I'm laughing at? I'm laughing, brother, because this was 2 weeks ago show. Okay. And we talking about parenting and co-parenting.
But you had to get that out, didn't you? They need to get it, because I'm going to tell. Because here's where it comes from.
You had to get that out, didn't you?
Hold it. The reason you can't deal with these children is because of this hurt that you have from your ex. You got to separate your ex from the children. And at the end of the day, I mean, anybody can call in, male or female. But the truth about it is, a lot of us men have seen this even in our own family. Listen, I can say this. God bless their soul. I'll put my own dirty laundry out there. There's some folks that I called auntie back in the cut. You know that's your auntie. That's your auntie. That's your that's my play sister. That's your auntie. Wait a minute. I'm old enough now to know. Hold up.
That ain't no aunties. Ain't no aunties, right?
Right. So hold on. And that's the point. We got to stop. Listen, a lot of us have baggage we have from when we were children. I tell this in a class I teach. I tell folks, the reason that you have went to a life of crime or a life of addiction or a life of substance abuse is because you got mama and daddy issues that you ain't came full circle with.
Well, you know, back in the day, very, very, very psychology 101, you know, people hear about Freud, and Freud theory is, psychoanalytic theory is very simple. It just basically says that we are a bunch of unresolved issues. If you have a problem, that's because you must have some unresolved issues. But you know, this whole premise, this whole idea that you just talked about came from us talking about being able to take a blended family and make it work. how do we take a blended family, be a man who already have children, or be it a woman that has children, and we bring it together and not let the fact that bloodline is not the same cause problems. It does not have to be that way. So as we only usually take an hour for these shows, and I know we're going to go over today.
Oh, yes.
Because this is one of those topics where how do you take, at a particular age, look at people who are dating when they're in their 40s and their 50s, and now they're meeting people, and I have a 10-year-old, I have an 11-year-old, and now they get together with someone. And all of a sudden, discipline becomes an issue, or finances becomes that ain't mine. But I thought you loved me. Yeah, but that's not mine. Well, how can you love a part of someone? You cannot love them all. So what we're talking about is being able to say, okay, listen, you and I are going to come together as a whole to raise this person to be a whole.
Come on.
I don't need you to be stepdad, stepmom. I just need you to be dad and mom.
Right.
Can you do that? Well, sure I can. But when it's something that we don't agree upon, can you agree not to challenge my level of love?
Right. Right.
You understand? So if we disagree,
hold it.
Or our authority. Right.
Because watch this. In my family, it was always because I would try to pit my mom and dad against one another, but they had a very unique way of handling me on that. Mm-hmm. My daddy would always tell me, be careful who you ask. Because if you ask your mother and she says no,
and then you turn around and ask me.
Right. Yeah. I will not override her. So once again, you have to show children at a young age the dynamics of a family and how a functioning family operates, because we have got so caught up in dysfunctionality that right now
dysfunction is the new norm.
Hold it. Most young women say, I can have a baby and I can raise that baby on my own.
But you're not supposed to.
Because they have been taught that it's okay. You don't need a man for nothing but to make the baby. That's it. You don't need him there to raise the baby. Be exact, you'll get more money and do better if you allow him to. And then I'm trying to breathe.
Yeah, come on now. Go to your happy spot. Go to your happy place.
We have places where we try to teach young ladies how to manipulate the system. Then we want to know why we as a people of color are not making any advancements. We're too busy teaching each other how to scam each other, how to hate each other, and how to play each other. Ask yourself, how many healthy mom and dad, husband and wife relationships you really know?
Well,
Brother Brown.
Hopefully we can say there's a lot, hopefully, that we can say, but what we have to really address is things like, okay, if you and I are going to agree that this is what we're going to do. Yes, I understand this is not your biological child, but if you love me, I hope that you love them just as much. I do. Okay, then let's make this work. You and I are going to be on the same page. Now, there is going to always be that variable, and I'm going to touch upon it because you really did put it out there a few minutes ago. We have another person outside of this home who has a relationship or a stake in this as well, and that's the parent that's outside of this home. At the end of the day, baggage that's what you were talking about. That baggage. He better not touch. If he touch you and you call me. I don't want that woman saying nothing to my baby. At the end of the day, the understanding has to be made with that individual as well. They need to be in on the contract, for lack of a better term. It's going to be a contract. And if you're going to be in it, this is the part where it gets tough. If we're in a relationship and there's the outside father or the outside mother, we want you to be a positive. This is where it gets really, 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 touchy. We want you to be a positive input into what goes on with this child. Not a negative. We cannot allow you to be a negative input in this. I will not allow it. We, meaning me and him, we will defend and protect this little one, yes, even from you. Because if she gets in trouble at school and we decide to, issue discipline, you're not going to call here, this house, want to interject drama about whose decision was it. You can call and we can talk about what she did in school. We would like for you to say, hey, you can't act up in school, and not worry about what we're doing as a parenting group. You're part of the parenting group, but you want to talk about our relationship and not the relationship of the child.
Right. Hold up. Here's what I want folks to think about. And once again, you are all welcome to call in at any point, 225-250-8770. Accountability, responsibility, and instead of deflecting, talking about what level of discipline or why did y'all make that decision, why have you not addressed the behavior of the child?
But that goes back to what you talked about in regards to the baggage. I still have baggage with you. I have baggage with you. So now here's an opportunity for me to bring some of that baggage back up. So you see what I'm saying? Let's say, for example, it's a man and he has his daughter. And now he has a female in his life and they're going to raise this child. All of a sudden, the little girl gets in trouble at school. Now the dad wants to call and talk about, the mother wants to talk about, she probably learned that behavior from that woman you got around her. I don't want all of these women around my child. Well, let's talk about the behavior of the child. Well, no, I want to talk about, I don't want my daughter around it. Listen, you are more than welcome to interject any positivity that you want. I saw Miss O'Neill's comment. Anything you want to interject that's positive, we're taking it. But this concept that you're going to call here and you're going to create chaos, we cannot allow that to happen.
Right. Because what we need to address is not
behavior.
Our reaction to what happened, but the behavior that made the action occur. And see, plenty of times that's where, listen, folk try to be nickel slick. And I said that in one of our podcasts. They try to be nickel slick. And everything good. If you are in a relationship that has went awry and you have a child from it, for some odd reason, folk always, and it's a woman and a man thing. One side I always say, everything good in that child came from my people. Everything bad in that child came from you and your people. And that's not it. And ha kiki, and it sounds real cute, but there's really some real underlying slick shots being thrown when folks say that. And the truth about it is, you have to sometimes say to yourself, hey, am I doing everything I can that this child winds up having a better handshake in life than I have had? Because what we all should want is our generations after us to be better than we were.
Well, what we have to start to address in this last part of this discussion is when there is not what we call a unified front within the parenting. What happens is we have children that are not grounded in regards to their understanding of the family dynamics. Okay, this is what I mean by that. They're watching how you treat this other individual, and from time to time, they will try to do the same thing. If you are the woman or you are the man and they see you talking to their mother or the stepdad or stepmom in an inappropriate type of way, it increases the probability that they may do that. So now, as a parent, I'm dealing with the issue of, do I limit the amount of exposure to you that, I give them? Because they will take some of that behavior, some of those ideologies, some of the terminology, and they may try to interject it themselves as a child. And we cannot have that. So what we need to start thinking about is, regardless of what you feel about that outside person, and when I say outside, I don't mean outside of the family dynamics, I mean outside of the home.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So you and the child are living with this man or woman, and the other parent is not. That's what I mean by outside. So now you're saying, we want you to come and we want you to interject positive input. But if you're going to do something opposite of that, we, not just me, are going to do everything we can to protect that child from that. And what has a tendency to happen is the child looks and says, wow, they really are a couple. And it's not my mom and her boyfriend, or my mom and my stepdad, or my dad and my stepmom. It's my parents. Because they're a unified front. You understand? But if we are not a unified front and they see a small little crack, trust me, children will manipulate that, especially if they see the outside parent, that person outside of the home, not respecting that family dynamics. I cannot emphasize that enough. If, for example, so let's say, for example, I live in a realistic world and not this idealistic world. Let's say, Brother Dupree, I'm living with this woman. This is our child. This is her child with you. You and I may hate each other. We may hate the sight of each other. If we have to discuss something and I don't think it's going to go really well, the child will be nowhere around.
Right.
You and I and this woman, the mother, we got to meet somewhere. We're going to have to talk about this. And I know it's not going to go well. There may be some words thrown out. So can we meet away from the child? Because I do not want her to think that the three of us are not unified.
Right.
I don't want him to think that the three of us are not unified.
Or I don't want the child thinking that they're at the same level that we're at.
Or that now this is very important. Keep in mind, we're talking about the structure of these families. We don't want the child to believe that they are the cause of this.
Right.
You understand? This my mom and my dad, because you may be in the house, but they may not see you as that parental figure yet.
Correct.
So now they know their mom and their dad, and mom and dad are still arguing. And I don't want them to feel that I am the reason that this argument is happening.
Right. Because
they will. It's about me. I'm a bad kid, so now my mom and my dad hate each other.
Right, because young minds are very impressionable and understand they are always in observation mode, and they are always in a posture of learning from what you're doing.
Correct. So it is very important. And you went and you put it all out there. If it's cheating, if it's abuse, if whatever it is, you cannot allow your baggage to be aired out in front of these children, because the children will pick up your baggage and put it in their bag. And then you wonder why, when you say something to the child, shut up talking to me. What? Shut up talking to me. You don't talk to me. Oh, yeah. Because they just saw, daddy say, shut your ass up.
Right. Right.
What? Oh, okay, cool. I like that. Let me put that in my little mental Rolodex.
Right.
So now when we out at Chuck E. Cheese or in the mall and you're getting everything you want and things are wonderful and the cotton candy and the balloons and the confetti and the band is following us as we walk down the street, that's wonderful. But then there's Mad Day come. And then in Mad Day come, she's going to remember, Mama said, shut your ass up.
Right.
So now she looks and she tells you, shut your ass up. What? No, we're not going to do. Well, you can't tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy. You ain't my mama. And you know what? We have a unified front.
Right.
And before you say anything, that biological parent will say, now, wait a minute. You're going to watch your tone because we are talking to you now. And we are not going to handle that. You see, it needs to be a we and not an I.
Right. You
see, I'm not going to have you talking to him like that. No, we are not going to have you talking like that in here. You see the difference in the way that hits? It sounds completely different.
Hey, and let's be truthful about it. Because, and this is just being straight up truthful. Many a times, the L factor, the love factor that you spoke about, is not what really made this relationship be what it is anyway. Okay. So here I am. I have constructed a blended family out of not really love and respect, but out of convenience and what can you do or what have you done for me lately? Okay. Just think about it. Look, I hate to do this because I know some folks going to inbox me after this show is over. They're going to say, bro, you sound upset. I'm not upset. I'm trying to be real with y'all because that's the problem. Too many times, we only want to tell one side of the story. I always tell people, a dog will poo in your yard and you will be mad for days. A cat will be done pooed in your yard 20 times. Only thing is the cat done covered it up. And the truth about it is, men, we ain't as smart as we think we are. And women, y'all ain't as undercover as y'all think y'all are. So at the end of it, what we got to understand is when there is a child involved, this child or the children are in full observation mode. And really what you're doing is teaching them the game, and they're trying, and you're teaching them what they feel like they need to do or what they feel like they don't need to do. But at the end of the day, we need to be adults about the situation and understand in this blended family that this child has a biological mother and a biological father. They may have a stepmother and a stepfather. They may watch this. Child may have a father and a stepfather. The child may have a mother and a stepmother. There could be a lot of dynamics, but whatever the dynamics, the adults need to have adult business handled amongst adult and not projected onto the child.
Correct. That's where we talk about baggage and how it filters into the relationships within the family dynamics. So now we are here and we're looking at it and we have to say, okay. And this is what I tell families when some of these issues come up. I say, instead of looking at it as a deficit, why don't we look at it as an asset? And they always like, what do you mean? Instead of saying he or she only has 2 parents, now they have 3. And if that individual has someone, they have 4.
Right.
And we need to look at it in terms of why don't the 4 of us form a unified front? And that has to be done by burying the baggage. That has nothing to do, that has nothing to do with the child. This was between you and I 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Come on.
That's over. Now the 4 of us will, here's the thing. And I saw that brother's comment and I'm going to throw it into what I'm saying. the four of us are going to come together and we're going to be a great collective for this child.
Right.
Because the last thing we want them to do is to pick up on our bad habits.
Hold
the
it.
Last thing we want, and you notice I didn't say
you didn't say
your,
you said
right.
our.
Our
it
bad
took two to make it right, and it took two to make it wrong.
Correct. So here's the thing that I find, especially when I deal with children in these type of situations, and being a clinician, I can really shed a lot of light on. It's nothing like me working with a child who says, I really love going to my dad's house, but, because I have a saying, anyone who knows me say, I don't like to use but, because but will undo everything that you said prior to it. So this dude said, I like going to my dad's, but I really hate when him and my stepmom get to talking about my mother. He said, I'm in my room, but I can hear everything they're saying. I can hear everything that they're saying. And as much as I love my dad, I don't like going over there. So now, when you heard me say 3 minutes ago that instead of saying, well, it's a bad thing because the two of us are raising him and that fool is over there, instead of saying that, why don't we say, let's bring him in to the circle and let him know, or let her know, you got to leave the drama out there. So now that person has somebody, and we can easily say, now you have 4 parents. Here's the thing, bro. Let me get this real quick.
Come on.
Parents are so significant. All right. Let me show you. Parents are so significant that God only give you one of each. One father, one mother. Right? You can have as many stepmoms, stepdads, but you only had one man and one woman that made you.
Right.
You got 2 sets of grandparents.
Right.
We ain't gonna talk about aunts and uncles, and we done made cousins to where we got play cousins now.
Right.
It's
right.
so many of them. Parents are so significant that we get one of each. If we can get to the point where we put these little tedious little idiosyncrasies aside, and we start to say, the 4 of us are going to be powerful parents, that child has nothing but positivity surrounding them. It's only one way they can go, Brother Dupree. It's only one way they go. But what we have is we have that some of it's up over here, some of it's down over there, and every now and then they might flip, and then they have plateau. And if we all come together, now think about it. Remember what I said? I don't like you, dude. I don't like you. But guess what? She or he will never know that.
Right. Hold it. Because
he or she will never know that.
People who know me and see my podcast, my video podcast, I have a lot of these. Folk who know me know I got a lot of these. These are little miniature superheroes. And let me tell you this. You can like it, leave it, or love it. Every child sees their biological mother and their biological father as their superhero. And I don't care what they
should.
Done.
If they don't, they should.
I don't care what they've done. I don't care if it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm telling you, when even if they've done something horrendous and horrible, that child will find his place. I haven't found one who hasn't done this. Will find themselves in a place at night going, Lord, I still love my dad or my mom, and protect them and watch over them. And I know they did something that wasn't good, but that's still my mom and I still love her, or that's still my dad and I still love her. I know this at the heart of my heart that that's how it goes down. So here's the thing. When you start killing folks superheroes, and that's where we got to be careful as adults too. You said a mouthful a minute ago. You got to watch what you say.
Correct.
When you not around the other parent, because children are always listening.
Always listening.
And then you trying to figure out why the child don't want to. Okay, watch this. You could be a part of the contribution to the series of the unfortunate events that makes this child not like the other parent. because of something you said, true or not true. Because at the end of the day, always remember this. I say this to folks because I lived it myself. That child will become an adult one day.
Mhm.
And that child will go through an adult situations. And when that child goes through those adult situations, in that time, in that moment, there will be a revelation of what really happened between mama and daddy. Now, they may never look you in the eye and say, I know, but trust me, they know, because children don't stay children forever.
That's right. And this by far, I knew we were going to go over, but this by far is one of these topics that we can go on and on and on about.
This
But
is
if
really
I-
going to be part one. We're going to make this a
Yeah.
3-part series.
Yeah,
This is
I
part
think so.
one.
Mhm.
Next Wednesday will be part 2. And
Yeah.
then when we wrap it up with part 3.
Because what we're going to have to do, and we're going to have to come back next week in this podcast, and we're going to talk about, we're looking at the formation and the structure of the family nucleus, right? Now we have to look at how outside variables will directly impact that family nucleus.
Come on.
Because we touched upon the parents, but extended family is a major part of the development of a family nucleus.
Come on.
Because here's the thing. You could really have a great relationship with that ex, but if Madea ain't on board,
Houston,
we have a problem.
We have a
So you're right. I knew we were going to go over this week, but I wanted to close out my part by saying, remember, if you can, you have to form a relationship for the betterment of the child. If for no, too often it's about me. I don't like that dude. You don't have to like him. That's not the point.
Hold up.
I don't like that woman. You don't have to like him.
Here's what I say. I got a person mad at me right now because I said this. I said the same energy you had when you made the child, you need to keep that energy. That's the energy you need to keep.
Yeah,
regardless what
especially when you're talking about rearing. When we're talking about rearing, you don't have to, but the 4 of you have to be, the 3 of you, because we're talking about blended families and we're talking about family dynamics. You have to find a common ground or the child will suffer. Now, this is the part that I'm going to stop because they always have that cliffhanger. The reason, and when I say the child will suffer, the worst thing that you want is for that child to suffer in silence.
Woo!
Okay, we'll pick up on that note next weekend.
So
if that child is suffering in silence,
come on,
it is almost like you have a grenade somewhere in your house and you don't know where it is.
Hold it and watch this. And that's why I'm going to end my part and turn it back over to you where you can close it out. From my own personal experience, and this is just my personal experience. And it's nowhere a perfect experience. It's just my personal experience. First of all, you have to understand this. Children don't stay children forever. The worst thing you can do is lie to a child and a child figure out sooner or later that you lied to them. So understand this. Children can take more than you know. But before you tell a lie, i.e., it was just one person was the bad person and I was the best person since sliced bread, you got to tell the truth, because when the truth comes out, then all of a sudden you in a place where the child may never tell you, but I know the truth and I want to know why you lied to me. Family, at the end of the day, we have to have more respect for ourselves. And just because, and too many times, I'm just going to put this out there, just because you suffered, you should never want your children to suffer. I was an abandoned child. I never want my children to be abandoned, though I always know that there is a spirit of abandonment that hangs around me because I was thrown away. I know how it feels. So you should never want somebody to feel like you when you were at some of your lowest points. But unfortunately, the truth about it is a lot of us, the same things that we hate are the same things that we wind up doing to others.
Yeah.
So we will be back next week with part 2. Be exact.
Every Wednesday, 8 o'clock.
We hold it. We're going to tackle this whole thing because there have been a lot of people on. Like I tell y'all, you know, if you're scared, say you're scared. But I got the phone lines open. You can call in and y'all can speak on it. But at the end of the day, here's what I am going to say. We're going to tackle this whole subject the whole month of April. This is all we're going to be talking about. Parenting, co-parenting, family, blended families, and how do we handle these things? Because I don't want you. Guess what I found out? May, June, and July, statistically, homicides and suicides are at an all-time high. And I'm here to
start getting warm. We don't know how to act.
Let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. And once again, I just finished doing a show where I said my prayers go out to everyone who was affected by the mass shooting in Nashville. Let me tell you something. Hurt feelings from folks will make them do things that they wouldn't have done if you had just included them into the conversation. Like you said, the last thing you want to have doing is somebody suffering in silence and all that's cooking up on the inside, waiting to explode and come to the outside. So get ready, y'all. The whole month of April, this show and every show in the month of April, we are dedicating it to the healing, not to just the conversation, but to solutions and solution-based theories that can help us be better people, better parents, and formulate better relationships with our children, our stepchildren, our bonus children, and with everybody included in the family dynamics, because it takes a village. Correct. With that being said, I turn it over to my brother, Edward J. Brown.
And listen, we always wrap up this way. Please, we're here every Wednesday at 8 o'clock because your mental health matters. And as I always say, if nobody else told you today, we love you. Peace.